Good morning, everyone. My name is Joe Milazzo. It is my pleasure to welcome you to part one of the 21st annual meeting of the Regional Transportation Alliance. This session will be recorded, and we will send a link to the recording to all registered attendees within 24 hours. I would like to now welcome the chair-elect of RTA, Jay Irby, with First Citizens Bank to kick off our morning together. Jay?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Joe. As Joe mentioned, my name is Jay Irby. I'm with First Citizens Bank. In addition to my role with First Citizens, I've also had the pleasure of serving as the RTA chair-elect for the last few months. Harold Hicks of RTI and our RTA chair is unable to join us today, but he does send his regards and hopes you enjoy the content today. I'm very pleased to welcome all of you, RTA members, our partners, our elected officials, and guests to the 21st RTA annual meeting. And events like this would not be possible without support of our members, our companies, and our sponsors. So let me begin by giving a special thanks to our presenting sponsors, Go Triangle and the Research Triangle Foundation. Now, we'd also like to recognize our major investors, first with our RTA Gold members. So please take a moment and scan the list of our leading regional companies on the screen. We're going to be giving detailed recognition during next week's in-person session. Next, the RTA Silver members also serve on the leadership team. And I'd also like to thank our RTA Bronze members. And we also have several sponsors for our 21st annual meeting. In addition to our sponsors, RTA represents more than 25 member chambers of commerce across 13 counties of our metropolitan triangle area. You can see their names on the screen. And RTA also appreciates the support of a number of regional public sector partners. So now I'd like to turn the event back over to RTA's Executive Director, Joe Milazzo. Please welcome back, Joe.
Jay, thank you very much. We look forward to a great year with you as our chair-elect. And today we've got a jam-packed online session agenda. So as we say, let's get moving. Today, we're going to hear from several of our RTA focus area chairs. They will introduce our topics today, including commuter rail, RDU airport, and multimodal highway funding. We also have excellent guest speakers lined up for each of these topics. For each of us, there will be time for Q&A from our members and partners after each keynote presentation. But if you would, please place your questions in the chat at any time. If you look in the chat right now, you can see a sample of how those questions might be phrased. You'll see in brackets, transit or commuter rail, RDU or in funding. Just use that same format so we know exactly what the topic is and who to address that to. We will plan to address at least one or two questions immediately after each guest presenter's remarks, and we will summarize the responses in an email to all of our attendees within 24 hours. After we complete all of our three topical sections this morning, we'll have some closing remarks to get us ready for part two next week. But to transition to our first topic this morning, which is transit and commuter rail, as you see on the screen, please join me in welcoming back Jay Irby, our Regional Transit Chair and the Chair-elect of RTA. Jay?
Thanks again, Joe. As you're all aware, RTA has been a strong supporter of the expanded and enhanced regional transit for many years. We endorsed bus rapid transit a decade ago, and we're excited to see the construction begin later this year, starting in Raleigh. RTA has also endorsed regional commuter rail more than 7 years ago, and we're pleased to see the needed conversations are happening to determine the best way for it to move forward. So at this point, I'd like to welcome my fellow RTA focus chairs, Dave Byerly with Truist and Scott Rawls with Wake Tech, to offer additional perspective on commuter rail and to introduce our first keynote speaker.
Thank you, Jay. My name is Dave Byerly with Truist Bank, and I'm pleased to serve as RTA's Intercity and Commuter Rail Chair. Commuter rail has the potential to be transformational. It can connect our two principal cities of Raleigh and Durham, linked with RTP and Cary, and help bring our region closer together. Commuter rail is certainly not cheap, and the cost has gone up more than we've all wanted. So we are very pleased that Go Triangle is looking at options to potentially scale or phase the project. The regional business community recognizes that while there is a significant cost of making major transit investments like BRT or commuter rail, there is also a cost of not making these investments. I'll now turn it over to my fellow RTA-focused chair, Scott Rawls.
Thanks, Dave. This is Scott Rawls with Wake Tech, and I also serve, as Dave said, the RTA Equity and Workforce Chair. With Wake Tech having growing enrollment, growing number of campuses, and our faculty, staff, students, they're all coming from all points in the triangle, regionally and beyond. And that's why mobility is so important to us. But I know it's also important to all our business community because you're attracting workforce and trying to retain workforce from all points in the region. So mobility is important. And we know that commuter rail has the potential to provide faster regional linkages. And it complements our future BRT network. As Dave noted, costs are important factors too, as they always are. But costs, there's also opportunity costs of not having the mobility and the workforce and equity challenges that can create. And that can obviously impact workforce issues, challenges, and equity considerations. And so to give us details on how the regional business community can engage in the commuter rail conversation, it's my pleasure on behalf of RTA to introduce Eric Curry, who's the Chief Communications Officer with Go Triangle. Eric, turn it over to you.
Thank you for setting the tone for today's event. And of course, the hardest working man in the triangle, Joe Malazzo, for giving me this opportunity to speak about regional transit. Again, I am Eric Curry, the Chief Communications Officer with Go Triangle. Go Triangle is pleased to serve as a presenting sponsor for today's RTA 21st annual meeting. We also appreciate the longstanding partnership we have with RTA and the regional business community. We're pleased to serve as the title sponsor for last spring's RTA tour of rail options in South Florida, a trip I was not with Go Triangle and really missed that one. But again, we're so happy to be a part of RTA's event today. And with that, we'll move forward. And it is about, we're very excited about talking about commuter rail and what it really means. And we just recently released, as you know, the commuter rail feasibility study, and it provides results on options for future commuter rail service in the Triangle region, which is so important. And what we found out in that study is that the proposed service will definitely provide the relief needed for a growing Triangle area region. The project includes passenger service at 15 stations along approximately 43 miles of existing rail from West Durham to Clayton. And it's very important to understand that this study has provided a lot of conversation in the area, good and of course some mixed reviews about just what this will mean. But let me tell you, it's important to talk about the numbers. 1 million plus vehicles on our roads are anticipated between now and 2050. And of course, those in the business community, I don't need to share with you how hot this region is as it relates to new jobs. It's anticipated 800,000 new jobs by 2050. 45% of those jobs will be in or near the proposed commuter rail corridor. And that is probably one of the most important facts as it relates to this study. And I think, what we're seeing since we started the comment period on January 5th, right now, this slide is already a little bit outdated. We're now at 4,400 survey participants. And, you can see where the geographic participation lies. And of course, how important it is to have a varied response from all folks in the region. And I think we're getting a very favorable participation rate from the professional residents in the area, those with household incomes of 125,000 and above. But in order for this survey period to be successful and to share the complete story, we're working very hard to ensure that we reach out to all sectors of the community, whether it's those in the higher income communities, but we also need those with household incomes below 50,000. We're putting a big emphasis on making sure that communities of color are included in this response. And it's very easy to get, a lot of high numbers of participation, but if you do not have a diverse response in part of that results, it's not going to be really what you want to get, because this is about getting all of the various responses that you can have in this study. There's no question that this map really shows you the three options that we have in this study for the respondents to share their opinions on. The western section, well, let's go to the eastern section. Obviously, that is from Raleigh Union Station down near Clayton. That's probably the least expensive to construct at this point, 600 to 700 million, which will take about 8 years. And the most expensive section right now, that will be the western section from RTP to Durham, and that will be close to $1 billion over, I'm sorry, 1.6 billion, taking really a big cost. So we're also pushing phases in regards of construction, and we will be working hard to work with our county partners in Wake, Durham, and even Orange. We want everyone to be a part of the project. We continue to work hard with our state and federal partners to find the funding necessary to get these phases constructed. So, briefly, that is the cost for each section, which is clearly marked in the survey. So I would like to invite anyone that has not had an opportunity to take part in the survey. After this event, please take part in the survey by going to gotriangle.org, and we'll be happy to, collect your data. That's very important. And the survey period runs from now until February the 19th. So we still have time to get your viewpoints on this important project. I turn it back to you.
Eric, thanks very much for your presentation, your remarks, and as you said, most of all, for the partnership. We very much value the
Yes,
partnership with
it
your
is.
organization, with you, with, of course, with your CEO, Chuck Latuka, with your chair, Sig Hutchinson, all the members of your trustees, your professional staff, and so on. Tremendous partners for us. Again, even going back to for many years, and of course, most recently, the tour last spring to Florida,
Right.
and then again, Regional Transit Day in the fall. Want to go through some initial questions. I had one sent to me separately from chat, but I do want to make sure that our members have an opportunity to put those in the chat. So if you see your chat function on your screen, usually bottom center there, we can put that in there and we'll get to that. So one question that has come up, and you actually addressed some of that already in your remarks, but the project is expected to face some challenges due to the proposed cost. And we acknowledge that even in our overview remarks from some of our focus chairs did as well. How can our region accomplish the objective of essentially creating that commuter rail project, connecting the region in a reasonable amount of time while recognizing the cost? What are some thoughts you have on that?
The cost obviously is the most important part of this. And that's why we have proposed and we really support a phased approach to this project, because if we're talking about going right out and building the entire project at once, it's going to take 12 years and $3 billion. But if we break it up in phases, we're also able to give us time to work with our the federal transportation administration to work with them so that they can evaluate our population density and the construction, the congestion relief that's needed. In our first review from FTA, we were denied funds for this project simply because of density along the entire corridor. But as we move forward, we will have something that I think will be approved by the federal administration, and I think that is something that we also should understand. And also, I think it's important to know that we are in a better position that folks really realize. There is an existing infrastructure of track and right-of-way carrying freight and intercity passenger trains through the area, and that they've been active since the 1850s. So it is not like we're not. It's not like we're starting from scratch. We do have infrastructure that gives us the positive feelings that we can make this project happen. And it's just a matter of making sure that we work with all of our partners to bring this entire project to fruition.
I appreciated your remarks on that. A couple other quick questions happen in the chat, and I want to acknowledge those as well. I think you started addressing part of that as well. One question from Don Mile, elected official, asking about, will this project consist of new rail or some existing rail? And it's kind of both, right? It's an existing corridor. It's the North Carolina Railroad Company, private company, state owns all of the shares. There's already passenger service on it today, very effective. If you were part of Transit Awareness Day, you rode on that train. So you know for a fact it's possible to have rail in the triangle because you rode it between Raleigh and Durham. But there will be some new investments that we'll need to be making. And Chuck Latuka, the CEO, acknowledged that in the chat. So others see that. We really are only have time for one more quick question here. Bill Gilmore from HDR, one of our leadership investors, was asking, has there been an economic study of how commuter rail will benefit the triangle in general? And I believe the answer is you all have done an economic study. Is that right?
Yes.
And is that on the Ready for Rail website, or is it available somewhere else?
I think it is available on our website.
Perfect.
And before I go, I just wanted to say how important it is, not only for our partnerships with RTA and the business community, but I think it's important to note the strong leadership from our board of trustees, the Go Triangle Board of Trustees. So, Sig Hutchinson and the rest of the members of the board, they have really supported Go Triangle and staff as we continue to move forward and work with our partners throughout this region to make commuter rail happen. And I think that is the most important thing is there are going to be some bumps and bruises along the way, but in the end, we'll be healing, riding our commuter rail from Raleigh to Durham.
I appreciate your remarks. Appreciate your leadership and partnership. Welcome to Go Triangle. You're not a stranger to Wake County, but you are certainly, or the Triangle as a whole, but we're pleased to have you in your role and your partnership there. And as I know Sig put in a LinkedIn message earlier this week, we need everything and faster, both and conversation, do it all and faster.
Yes.
So yes, Sig,
Yes.
we're reading your post as well there, and we appreciate the partnership for you as the chair of Go Triangle. We are going to go transition now to the next topic, but for those who are looking at the chat and saying people were talking about transit to the airport, would be great to have someone mention that. You're going to find out we're going to cover that in a little bit in just a minute. So, but we're going to hear from two focus area chairs, John Kane with Kane Realty and Shayla Nunn-Jones with Nova Nordisk. And so Shayla, you are first if you are with us, because I cannot see all the chat to see who's available. So Shayla, are you ready to go?
I'm here, Joe.
Perfect. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you for asking.
That sounds good.
Yeah, everybody, my name is Shayla Nunn-Jones. As Joe just said, I'm the Government and Public Affairs Lead for Nova Nordisk. We're a global biotech company with 3 manufacturing production facilities across the Triangle region. And we are actually a proud member of RDU's Triangle Takeoff Business Coalition. So I am thrilled to now also serve as RTA's Air Service and Infrastructure Chair. RTA's top overall priority is sustainable funding for growth at RDU Airport. And to this end, RTA has an active letter writing campaign in concert with the RTP Foundation and Triangle Council of Governments to maximize a federal funding partnership for a new RDU primary runway. If you've not sent your letter, you can use a simple template from our letsgetmoving.org homepage. As you know, RDU funding remains our priority going into 2023. Now let me turn it to my fellow RTA Focus Area Chair, John Kane. John?
Thank you, Shayla. John Kane here, and I serve as RTA's Real Estate and Mobility Chair. My sense is that all of this ties together, including conversations about transit and the airport. We know that RDU is on record supporting BRT connections to the airport, and of course, we at RTA support those as well. As Shayla said, RTA's highest overall priority is funding at RDU. Landside infrastructure investments are essential so that we will continue to have world-class travel experiences as we grow. It's my pleasure to welcome RDU Authority President and CEO, Mike Lankett.
All right, well, thank you, John and Shayla, for the kind introduction, and Joe for the opportunity to talk for a few minutes about the airport and its role in regional transportation planning. We appreciate the longstanding partnership with RTA and the regional business community, including the outstanding RDU Task Force that has provided excellent recommendations on funding airport infrastructure. We also appreciate RTA's letter writing campaign for the new runway. It has already helped make a difference in terms of the FAA approval of a longer runway length and your ongoing priority 1 focus on funding at RDU. So let's start with some good news. A report published this month by the North Carolina Department of Transportation, Division of Aviation, found RDU contributes more than $17 billion to Central and Eastern North Carolina's economy and supports more than 85,000 local and regional jobs. It also found RDU generates more than 887 million in state and local taxes and 5.4 billion in personal income. The airport has a profound impact on our region and must continue to grow to keep pace with the region's Triangle continued expansion. RDU has a roadmap for growth called Vision 2040 that identifies the airport's capital development needs to meet our region's future demand for aviation. The future RDU includes more gates in both terminals, a rental car facility and ground transportation center between the terminals, and an improved roadway system to provide faster, easier access for public transportation and passenger vehicles. We recently restarted key Vision 2040 projects after they were put on hold during the pandemic. There are two critical projects that are central to the realization of Vision 2040, replacing our primary runway, 5 left, 2, 3 right, and adding more parking stalls in Economy 3. Let's focus on Economy 3 expansion. RTU must increase the number of parking spaces in Economy 3 before we can expand Terminal 2, improve John Brantley Boulevard, and begin construction between the terminals. The new stalls in Economy 3 will replace public parking between the terminals that will close. The 2 public parking garages are demolished. We're also adding space to meet future demand for more parking as passenger traffic grows beyond pre-pandemic levels. In addition, the airport will lose another 2,500 spots with the future decommissioning of Economy 4. Vision 2040 calls for the closure of Economy 4 to expand RTU's air cargo facilities. As the research triangle continues to grow, pressure is building to relieve congestion through public transit. RTU supports the region's vision for better connectivity, and it's important for our business community to understand the airport's role in regional transportation planning process, particularly as it pertains to transit and other multimodal connecting to the airport. Go Triangle is the public entity charged with overseeing our region's transit system, and they do a great job advocating for achievable multimodal solutions that include freeway improvements, expanding bus service, and bus rapid transit implementation. RTU is a stakeholder in the planning process and works hand in hand with Go Triangle to ensure the airport's long-term development plans accommodate the region's future transportation needs. It is important to clarify one point. RTU is federally prohibited from investing directly in transit projects and operations not substantially related to actual air transportation of passenger property. However, RTU's operations have generated about $150 million in vehicle rental taxes since 1998 to help support capital investments in regional public transportation. The airport's role in transit recently came to light as we started the environmental review process to expand Economy 3. We received feedback and comments suggesting the airport should focus its efforts from expanding parking to invest in transit. It is clear there is room for us to do a better job of educating the public about the role in providing transit access to the airport. And that's what we are going to try to do to help out. If you can remember anything from this last 7 minutes, I hope it's this. RTU's significant contribution to the region's economy, workforce, and tax base underscores the importance of realizing the airport's growth plans. We need the business community support to help achieve Vision 2040, and I'm asking you to help educate your networks about the value of RTU to our region, the need to expand Economy 3, and how Vision 2040 supports improved connectivity and access to the airport. In closing, I'll thank RTU for your leadership in promoting scalable, regional, multimodal solutions and prioritizing sustainable funding for RTU as we embark on a $2.2 billion 10-year capital improvement plan. That concludes my remarks.
Mike, thanks very much for those remarks. Those were, as always, excellent, and a nice partnership between the business community and the airport, and a nice tie-in between the conversation on transit we heard from Eric just a few moments ago and some of the comments you just delivered here in terms of the ongoing support for those things, along with the role that the airport plays in terms of focusing on the airport, restricted by FAA in terms of the monies you can spend and cannot, but also recognizing the significant investments you have done in terms of the airport has done with regional transit in terms of things such as the vehicle rental car tax. That has been very good. You mentioned the Park Economy 3. If you could go back to that slide for just a moment, or maybe Eric could slide that back over just to show that map just a little bit more, or that layout, and see if we can get that back over. I think it's a couple more back. That's it. Perfect. Either one of those actually is fine. Just to make sure our members know this and get visibility on that. I mean, the organization took a look at that question at our steering committee earlier this month. We have endorsed that expansion for Park Economy 3. We're happy to do that. And we are appreciative of the reasons that he mentioned that in terms of we need to make sure we have successful infrastructure at the airport. as we grow and to do so in a sustainable fashion, along with, and I hope everybody heard this as well, the need to have those transit linkages to the airport, and of course the airport authority being on record as supporting BRT there. And if it can't build it, it can support it and facilitate that. And that is very, very good. So Mike, we appreciate that and the partnership with the airport for that. So see if there's some questions that have come in. I think there are a couple. And so the question really is just came in from one of our major investors here as well. What consideration is being given to the balance of expanding parking and relying on future things such as BRT and commuter rail? So I'll put that maybe right back to you, Mike, as you think about kind of all the modes are important, all the accessibility, but how the airport authority thinks about that.
Yeah, so it is a multimodal approach. So we have customers that come from all areas of this community. And so our service areas have the state of North Carolina. So this multimodal approach it's not just looking at parking, but it's also trying to figure out ways to improve public access for public transportation. So for example, we will develop in the center core a ground transportation center that will aggregate all these different forms of commercial transportation that then allows public transportation to rapidly get into the terminal curbs, drop their customers off, and get back out. So we're trying to improve the infrastructure to make sure it's a seamless process. So no matter where we connect within the community to the airport, and we like a lot of different connection points, we want to make it smooth, convenient, and easy for people to get in and out. But truly, we're looking at multimodal. It's vehicles, it's public transportation, it's Uber, it's Lyft, black car limousine, busing, all modes. We have to address all modes to make sure we serve all of our customers that come to the airport.
And if you don't mind, if I follow up on that, it kind of relates to the question we got. You mentioned something about additional roadway improvements. In particular, one of the things is a future interchange at National Guard. That's going to benefit cars going to the airport. That's going to benefit future BRT going to the airport. Talk a little bit more about your timing with that, if you don't mind.
Timing, we're currently going through the programming phase for the interchange. You probably can't see it, but over by Sheets, we want to develop an interchange. So anybody that does park in Economy 3, you've got some assurances of how long it's going to take you to get actually from Park Economy 3 into our facilities itself. And again, trying to take some of those cars off the roadway system with public transportation by making sure that those roadway systems have enough capacity once you get on our property. So again, you can rapidly get in facility. Right now, we're seeing pretty significant congestion between Terminal 2 and Terminal 1. We want to try to alleviate that, again, to get those buses in and get them out quickly so we can express in and express out. And it does become a great solution to get to the airport is public transportation.
That's perfect. And it's good to hear that. It's music to our ears as we try to find multimodal solutions. This is fantastic to hear. Last one, just very quickly, the runway, of course, top priority for you, for us, for many folks. If you're going to go beyond that, is Terminal 2 kind of the next big thing that's on your list? Or what would you say as we prioritize things at the airport, looking ahead from the infrastructure standpoint to accommodate the growth we're seeing?
Yeah, so we are rolling out a $2.2 billion program, and it starts with Economy 3, which winds up being the linchpin, and then gets into this kind of center core, which includes development of John Brantley Boulevard, a roadway improvement, expanding terminal curb space at T2. It is redeveloping part of the parking garage to expand the roadway system. It's building a Conrex facility, consolidate a rental car facility with a quick turn facility. It's building a new runway. It is a multitude of a lot of different projects to meet the long-term growth that we see, whether it's from a land side, public transportation, or it's on the airfield side in terms of runways. Trying to make sure we meet the long-term demand for our community.
That is awesome. Well, so the answer to my question is yes, it's that and 20 other things. Fast growing thing, it never ends, right? You just got to keep making those investments.
As long as this community continues to grow, we need to meet their growth.
Exactly right. Well, we very much appreciate your leadership and the partnership, Mike. Thanks very much for the work that the airport does each and every day. And for those who have not seen it, they have a great blog. They have great information out there that they put out there. And if you don't know what CLEAR is, business community, go to their news page this week and see if you can learn about a new benefit for us getting to and from the airport once we're inside it. So good for that. And now let's move on to our final topic of this morning, which is funding for multimodal highways. This morning, we're going to hear from Julia Wright with Dominion Energy, John McGeary with First National Bank, and Brett Lachaminant with Credit Suisse. This morning, let's begin with Julia.
Great. Thank you, Joe. I'm Julia Wright with Dominion Energy, and I'm pleased to serve as RTA's Legislative and Policy Chair. As John Kane said, everything ties together. And for RTA, we want to see multimodal highway improvements advance with accelerated priority. But to do that, there must be enough funding. As Joe Malazzo noted in a recent RTA, NC Chamber op-ed in Raleigh, Durham, and Charlotte papers, the transition to EVs and to increase fuel efficiency overall means that the days of the gas tax effectively funding our roadways are numbered. My fellow focus area chair, John McGarry, will tell us more.
Thank you, Julia. So I'm John McGarry, Commercial Banking Manager with First National Bank. I also serve as RTA's Funding and Finance Chair. And for several years now, RTA has been elevating access user fee as an alternative to the gas tax. The access fee concept is straightforward. Raise the North Carolina EV fee, currently $140 a year, to what a typical vehicle pays in state gas taxes, which is around $250 a year. We charge all passenger vehicles the same rate, whether electric, gas, or hybrid. And we'd end all state gas taxes and replace with an access fee. An access fee is a user fee, but not a usage fee. The goal is to increase revenue stability so that the NCDOT will have a more predictable revenue source and can better maintain project delivery to support multimodal investments. Brett Lachimota will offer some additional thoughts. Brett.
Thank you. Sorry, thank you, John. And thanks, Joe Malazzo, for the opportunity to be here today. My name is Brett Lachimota, and I work at Credit Suisse, and I'm also happy to be the RTA Risk Management and Resilience Chair. We cast our minds back to the beginning of COVID when we all entered lockdown. People stopped using their cars, and therefore we're not filling up with gas, and that highlighted a significant impact on our reliance on gas tax, which is a primary revenue stream for the NC DOT. The pressure on gas tax, as Julia said, will continue with the increase in electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles and more efficient cars in the future. Now, the RTA supports access user fee approach as a resilient method to funding transportation. That said, if there's another method of replacing gas tax that emerges that's resilient and fiscally and politically sustainable, we'll look forward to supporting that as well. The key here is that the regional business community needs NC DOT to be successful, and that means that the Department of Transport business model needs stability amidst changes in vehicle propulsion, the economy, and the vehicle miles traveled as we look at a multimodal transport. So on behalf of the RTA, I'm pleased to introduce Kevin Lacey with NC DOT, who will speak to funding and partnerships. Kevin, welcome.
Good morning. Thank you, Brett, and really want to start out again and really thank the RTA for the partnership over the last 20 years. I've personally benefited many times through this partnership, and I know the department as a whole has as well. So whether it's the 540 Turnpike extension and the Turnpike itself, widening I-40 85 connector that was on the books longer than RTA's been in existence, the 87 interstate designation, and prior to that, the 495. Lots of opportunities to have worked with the RTA business community and lots of success. I get to talk a little bit about funding today, and unfortunately, there's not as much great news in that area, even though we've heard a lot of new money, and there's two types of new money that I'm going to talk about, and that's the new money from the sources like the IIJA or the bill from the federal government, and also from the state government, the state sales tax. We really thank our legislature for trying to start solving that problem that Joe had mentioned in his article, as you know, we've known for quite some time, as the fuel economy of vehicles get better, the mode of locomotion, whether it's gasoline power, diesel power, converting to other modes, other methods such as electric and hydrogen and so forth, you know, the fuel tax is not sustainable. We've been very fortunate in the last few decades that North Carolina's growth has made up for some of the fuel economy improvements over time. But while we continue to grow at a very fast rate, our revenue growth is not matching that, nor is it matching our needs from maintaining our system as a whole. So you know, the good news is that we're able to turn the lights on still and still fund the projects that we have on our books. And that doesn't sound like a lot of great news, but when you're looking at the inflationary costs that many of you are experiencing as well, the lack of labor, and all the things that are really putting pressure on the construction phase and the maintenance activities that we are required to do to keep the roads open, and not only the roads, but also the other aspects of transportation, you know, the multimodal aspects, making sure we have bike lanes and the rail and air all are there. Just a quick snapshot of what that's costs have done in the last 5 years or so. Since 2018, the construction cost per mile has increased 35%. We're pretty certain that our revenue has not increased at that rate, not in the last 5 years anyway. So the new money that we've seen so far, you know, whether it's the sales tax in North Carolina or even the IIJA bill, proportion amount, really has backfilled a lot of the inflationary cost and cost escalation that we've seen. Sorry, that's a energy reduction there. I wasn't moving enough to make sure that it's thought I was in the room. But anyway, those new monies have really kept our program on schedule as much as we can. We may still see some variations in our programming, but that has done a lot of good. The real new money out there, and the real new money, meaning new and money, is through the IIJA bill and these discretionary grants. We are aggressively pursuing these grants as much as we can, where we have projects that are scheduled, that helps bring new money into the department. That's in addition to just trying to keep up with the inflationary expenses. So that, to me, that's where a lot of good opportunity looking forward is how can we supplement our program by pursuing these grants. And we've been quite successful, not as successful as some states, but we're very excited about what we have won, whether it's raise grants, helping with multimodal activities, bridge grants, replacing bridges that needed to be replaced, and all across the state, as well as some large projects such as the I-95 and 74 infra grants that are helping fund major projects, as well as putting in broadband. Many people don't see broadband as a transportation activity, but it has become more and more part of our portfolio of things that we do. Not so much running and operating the broadband, but having space for the long haul and the mid-range connections into municipalities and back to data centers. So Joe only gave me 7 minutes, and I would tell you, normally I can't say hello in 7 minutes, but I've squeezed all I can in this, and I can. So I'm going to turn it back over to Joe for any questions.
Well, Kevin, appreciate the partnership and the true let's get moving alignment with that presentation, those remarks. That was great. Very much appreciate that. Questions for you. So first we have one coming from Lee as well. I'll get that in a second. Question for you just in general. I mean, does the department have a preferred method of replacing the gas tax, or are you more, at least the department right now, saying, hey, we have a revenue issue, let's look at all the options on the table? Do you have a specific one you're pursuing right now, where the department is?
Well, we are looking at all of the above. You know, this is the conversation of whether it's a vehicle fee, such as the electric vehicle fee that has been that the General Assembly passed a few years ago. I think all of the above is going to be needed. You know, and over time, I think we'll see, you know, if we're able to have a if we're able to have a portfolio of revenue sources where we're not as dependent upon a single source, that will provide some stability into the department's revenue. So I think the answer is all of the above. We are exploring mileage-based user fees. We are exploring these other activities. We, as you know, the NC First Committee, NC One, there's a number of different activities that we've worked on trying to better understand that revenue replacement conversation.
That's a very fair point. Question from Lee Worsley, one of our leadership investors here with Triangle J. It's as much addressed, I think, to RTA, so we'll take it directly here in terms of our question about a flat fee or an access user fee. Would it lessen the effectiveness of transportation demand management efforts, or TDM as it's sometimes called as well? We don't believe so, or at least we hope it's not. And the other piece we would mention about the flat fee or the access fee, the access-based approach, our goal is resilience in the network. One of our biggest fears is that when you have the volatility, when you don't have a flat fee, when you have the gas tax or vehicle miles traveled, as travel goes up and then it goes back down, then that can wreak absolute havoc on your planning, on the department's planning, on preparing for things. That messes up project delivery, and then that messes up the ability to get multimodal transportation in place. And so it's hard to get good TDM or anything else if you don't have the options in place, if you can't fund them. So there's a series of trade-offs and considerations, but it's a fair question, and we're going to probably explore that more. I know the department will as well.
Joe, just real quick to add to that, travel demand management may help the peaks, help the system operate better during the peaks, more so than, you know, looking at it as a means to manage the overall aspect of the system.
That's a really good point there. And actually, and building on that point, we have seen that in the last few years with the pandemic. The pandemic has obviously had some challenging aspects for America and the world, but we have seen some positive things. One is the way we communicate, such as this online meeting. And so that's reducing climate footprints and so on, carbon footprints. But it's also taught us that the peaks themselves can be modified and spread out over the course of the day, which is also very beneficial for a number of reasons. So that's good too. Question for you as well. Let me pull another one that just kind of came through there. What can we as a business community do to try to elevate the urgency and also the opportunity of new funding for the department? You know, you referenced it about the article that we work with North Carolina Chamber on. What are some other things that individual members of the business community can do to help promote this as we try to get a truly more multimodal system and resilient funding, so we'll have these project delivery gaps and so on? What can we do?
Well, I think you guys have done a tremendous job over the last 20 years of keeping it on the forefront of, you know, the importance of transportation into the quality of life in North Carolina. I think that has to be a constant message, not only to our legislative bodies, but, you know, also to local government, as well as the general public as well, because, you know, the successes that we've seen both in the Triangle area and across the state have come largely because of good quality transportation systems that are available, not only highways, but rail, aviation, all of the above, that have really contributed to landing some pretty important large job creators. So I think that's a critical component when when DOT gets up there and says, hey, we need to have, dedicated funding, we need to have secure and reliable funding, that sounds very self-serving. But when the business community comes up and says, hey, we're a banking community, we are a pharmaceutical organization, transportation is critical to our business, it sounds a lot different than coming from someone like me who, it may sound self-serving, but coming from the people who depend upon the system every day, having a high quality, reliable system to move our goods and our employees back and forth is critical to our quality of life. And that speaks much louder than a whether it's a DOT or even a private firm who benefits from providing that type of work.
Yeah, well, you're exactly right, and I appreciate your remarks. And I really want to thank the ongoing partnership with you, with the entire department, your friends at the Turnpike Authority within DOT, all been great partners and friends for the business community, and primarily because the work that you do every day for North Carolinians here and the ones that are coming. So we appreciate that very much, Kevin. Thank you for being a part of this today. Well, I want to mention quickly before I turn it over that there are some additional questions we haven't got a chance to do. So we're going to try to compile those. We'll connect with the individual speakers, see if they have some quick responses and see if we can include those in written form to our members here. So we'll try to work on that at the conclusion of the meeting. But at this time, I'm going to turn the program back over to our RTA Chair-elect, Jay Irby with First Citizens Bank, and we'll go from there. Jay.
Thank you, Joe. And a special thank you to Kevin, Eric, and Mike for your outstanding keynote presentations. We'd also like to thank our RTA focus chairs for your review and help framing these important topics for the business community. This has been a great morning together. I want to again give a special thank you to our presenting sponsors, the Research Triangle Foundation and Go Triangle, and our event sponsors, Credit Suisse, Sunrock Group, IBM Corporation, First Citizens Bank, the town of Cary, along with all of our RTA regional leadership team. And a special thanks to Jacob Rigg and Joe Milazzo for all of your hard work in putting making today's presentation possible. Looking ahead, we've got part 2 of our annual meeting that's going to be coming on Tuesday, January 31st. And for part 2, we're going to be in person. We're going to be at the Embassy Suites in Cary, and we look forward to seeing all of you there. So before we conclude, Jacob, is there any final information you want to convey to our members prior to us joining together on part 2?
Thanks, Jay. Yeah, I just have a couple of quick notes for you. As stated, this will be in person. Ideally, if you have not already signed up, if you could sign up by January 26th for our head count. We are also you need to sign up for this. We're north of 400 registrations as of this morning. There is a cap of 450. So if you have not already signed up, don't assume that you've signed up. If you want to double check, you can always send me an email that said, just making sure that I'm signed up for this, and I can double check our registrations. So if you want to get that to me as soon as possible, that would be great. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else. So turn it back over to Jay. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacob. Joe, any final thoughts?
Yeah, just 2 things quick. Again, want to thank our members and partners. I want to thank Jacob for his work, the entire Raleigh Chamber team who are behind the scenes working on all aspects of this event. They're tremendous partners with us, and we're proud to be a program of the Chamber as well. I want to thank each of our members and attendees for the questions you've asked. If you have additional thoughts on it as we prepare for the interactive discussion next week, you can email me directly at joe@letsgetmoving.org. Just send that to me directly, and I'll turn it back to you, Jay.
Thank you, Joe. And a special thanks to everybody for your time this morning, for your membership, and of course, for your partnership. So until next week, let's get moving.
Let's get moving.